this moves us on to approval of the agenda. And I would like to correct that the item 13.1, the COVID-19 update, is actually an information item. And I would like to move that up to become 12.2. So with that,
I make a motion to approve the agenda with that revision.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the agenda is approved as amended. Thank you. Okay, our next item is the report out on closed session. And this evening there was no action taken in the closed session. And we're pleased that we are not planning to return to closed session again after the public session. And this brings us to the approval of the consent agenda, in which the board action is to approve the following items taken simultaneously with one motion, which is not debatable and requires a unanimous roll call vote for passage. The action indicated on each item is deemed to have been considered in full and action taken as worded therein. If a member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from this section and placed on the regular order of business. I believe we have at least one change.
Yes, President Sarver, I would like to pull item 7.6.
Okay, the approval of revised job descriptions. That has been pulled. Are there any other changes?
There was a comment from the public.
All right, we do have an attendee with a hand up. And that would be Chris. If that is an adjustment being requested to the agenda, please go ahead and pass that message to us. Okay, Chris, I noticed your hand went down, but you're still muted. Can I assume correctly that that was not what your hand was up for? All right. In that case, I will welcome. Let's see.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve the consent agenda with
Thank
the
you.
one item stricken that's been pulled.
Second.
Okay, for that, we will need a roll call, Ms. Marquez.
Student trustee Nori,
Yes.
trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Stevens,
Yes.
trustee Jin,
Yes.
vice president Dubois,
Yes.
president Sarver.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. All right, then we move on to special recognitions, superintendent's recognitions.
Yes, definitely as stated in previous board meetings, this is my favorite part of board meetings, and tonight especially. You know, I think back, although none of us were alive 100 years ago, but what did school look like 100 years ago? What did adult school, Sequoia Adult School, look like 100 years ago? So tonight we are celebrating the 100th year anniversary of our Sequoia Adult School. So we do have our director of adult school, Jonathan Fu, with us, along with some other staff, and they have put together a miraculous video also for our quick viewing. Jonathan, do you have the ability to share your screen?
I do. I also
Okay,
have a
well, then
presentation.
Take it away.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Take it away.
Thank you so much. So thank you, Superintendent Leach. Good evening, Board of Trustees, staff, and attendees. So for Sequoia Adult School's 100-year celebration, we wanted to highlight our students' many successes. As you may know, many of our high school equivalency and diploma students are students originally from district high school sites. And it has been amazing to see students return to our school to continue their education 1 year, 5 years, and sometimes even 30 years after last attending high school. We also serve a large number of immigrants and English learners in our community, many of whom are some of the most in need of computer training, support in navigating the community, and academic preparation. Over the years, it has been a source of great pride for us to see students across all programs continue to achieve their goals through transitioning to community college, job training, and university. With that being said, I'd like to present the video that Crystal was mentioning. Sorry, let me make sure I'm sharing my sound correctly. Okay. So the adult school is a community. It's a place where people come to be able to access different future goals for themselves. The adult school is open to everybody. You know, we have all different types of people that come here. We don't deny anybody. We do everything that we can to help anybody.
I decided to come back to finish my high school equivalency. It's like, 30 years later. So it's never too late for anyone to come back to school. You can come back at any age. And it's something that I'm striving to do for myself as well as my family so I can achieve my goal.
Yeah, I have a lot of troubles to enter because a lot of people want to study at this school. And at that time, I didn't find a space. But I came and I say, okay, I have to go there, and I came many times. And then finally, when they get me as a student, I start my school and I meet a lot of professors who give me a lot of support. They teach me how to do things here because I didn't have any idea at that time.
So it's very important that this school continue because we serve a segment of our population that tends to be disenfranchised. Nobody else is really serving those students. So if you look at English as a second language students, there are really no programs out there teaching English at the level that we teach English to students.
We serve a lot of students that are highly, highly motivated, a lot of immigrants coming here just to start better lives for themselves. It's always amazing to me that people are going in and working full-time jobs, supporting families. And that a lot of students still have the energy to come in and learn. A lot of students that have encountered some sort of difficulties or barriers in their lives, being able to sort of come and take that first step into getting the next step for their education.
This school is the starting place. This is the foundation. Then after that, the students can go to Cañada. They can take advanced ESL classes so that eventually, when the students finish the ESL program at Cañada, they're taking college level classes. And once they've achieved that level, they can go anywhere.
If I have to tell you about the support that I get from here, I get everything to transfer to the college. At that time, I didn't have any idea how to complete all my application and all the stuff for being at college. So this school provided me everything, all tools to continue with my education.
Thank you for letting us share that video. So I wanted to continue the presentation a little bit by recognizing some of our community partners. So of course, our student success would not have been possible without them, as they have provided essential support services and pathways for our students to continue to attain their education goals. So Cañada College, Job Train, and Renaissance are some of our major transition partners who serve many Sequoia Adult School graduates, the majority of our transitions going through them. I'd also wanted to recognize Vegan Outreach and Peninsula Food Runners, who have helped us address the barrier of food insecurity many of our students face. Upward Scholars, one of our biggest partners, has made a huge impact on our students enrolled in college by helping them get access to college tutors, free textbooks, and transportation scholarships. I also wanted to recognize San Mateo County Libraries, who have helped our students overcome one of the biggest barriers during the pandemic accessing high-speed internet by providing free hotspots to our students. So some of you may know that about 6 years ago, the state mandated that regional community colleges and adult schools collaborate to create pathways and seamless transitions for students to get access to further education, to improve their economic mobility and ability to further integrate into their communities. A lot of the work that Sequoia Adult School has done these past 6 years is in partnership with the Consortium of Adult Schools and Community Colleges of San Mateo County. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Dr. Corinne Holder-Jackson, who is the Executive Director of our consortium, to say a few words to celebrate our centennial.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good evening, Superintendent Leach, trustees, and attendees. Thank you so much for this honor and opportunity to talk about our relationship with Sequoia Adult School. It is my privilege and pleasure to work with both Lionel Domain and Jonathan Fu for the past 5 years in helping to provide education and support for our population of students. It is really amazing to me to see that the mission, vision, and values of Sequoia Adult School are so readily applied in a servant leadership and also with adaptive leadership. I have found it is amazing to see the transition, the number of students who transition through this particular program. The students at the graduation, I'm looking and listening to their stories. I am inspired by the dedication that these employees and volunteers and the students themselves, the community that Sequoia has created for these students, the passion that they bring to our consortium meetings when we're talking about developing plans and programs and strategies for how we can further help our student populations. These are our communities as a collective through the region. And I have never just been amazed and just so delighted with the support that we've received. I really want to speak to the leadership that both Jonathan and Lionel have provided to the consortia. When the consortia was formed, we were really building this consortia from the ground up, as doing it as we go. The state is really working with us to define as we go along what that should really look like. But the strong leadership that was provided by Sequoia has really helped our consortia do better, go further, and really do more for our communities. I'm so excited about what the future will bring. And I'm so very excited that Jonathan has decided to accept the nomination to work alongside me and be co-director of our consortia. I'm so excited about the work that we can do and really what's going to happen for the students at Sequoia as they transition to community, to college, and to the workforce. Thank you again, Jonathan, and your staff. I love working with each and every one of you, and I really look forward to 2021 and 22, our program year, and as we start looking to develop our new 3-year strategy of how we will do better and really create a strong workforce for San Mateo County. Thank you again for all the hard work that you're doing. And thank you, board and superintendent, for allowing Sequoia to perform and operate at this level. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Corinne. In addition to celebrating our school centennial, tonight we wanted to recognize staff, teachers, and volunteers for their contributions to our students' success this past year. So I have 3 teachers and staff that I'd like to recognize. The first being Soledad Campos, who has, since taking on the testing and data technician position at Sequoia Adult School about 1.5 years ago, Soledad has learned many of the intricacies of the ever-changing data and accountability requirements of adult education reporting and funding. Additionally, during this past year of COVID, she has been instrumental in having our school be one of the first few sites offering HiSET and GED testing in our county during the pandemic. To be able to meet the needs of students during this difficult time, she's been creative in finding ways to balance her personal obligations with meeting the needs of our morning and evening students. Soledad has excellent rapport with our students and is always willing to find ways to support them during testing. She's always looking to perform at the highest capacity in her position. She is a problem solver, and she is extremely reliable and most of all, passionate about supporting all of our school community. So thank you, Soledad. I'd also like to talk about Sandra Sharp next, one of our high school equivalency instructors. During the beginning of the pandemic, Sandra really stepped up to manage the high school equivalency program to get all classes fully synchronous via Zoom by April of last year. Since then, she has made several improvements to the program, including a much improved process of tracking student progress to better target tiered support and interventions of students in the high school equivalency program. She also facilitated the development and implementation of a much more robust Canvas curriculum across all classes, and Sandra has mentored novice and veteran teachers throughout the whole process. Sandra is deeply compassionate and dedicated to our school community, and this is shown through the countless hours I see her spending with students outside of the classroom. Sandra has done much to further the school's mission of helping students achieve their personal and career goals. So thank you so much for all your hard work with everything, Sandra. Next, I'd like to recognize Jessica Bitt, one of our ESL instructors. Jessica has made a tremendous impact on getting our school to fully synchronous online learning by April of 2020. Jessica was our main Zoom trainer and mentor. And since then, she has been pivotal in updating our ESL course content to be delivered through Canvas to better support students in career and college transitions. In addition to leading technology training, Jessica took on the role of coordinating our volunteer program. Our volunteer program has since become much more robust and structured, which has led to more graduations and college transitions. Jessica is patient, innovative, and kind, as well as supportive, and she has been crucial in upholding our school's values of being a technology leader in adult education and putting students first. So in addition to recognizing our teachers and staff, we would like to recognize our volunteers who have done tremendous work supporting our students in the classrooms and on an individual basis. So Jessica will be saying a few words for our volunteers.
So it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to recognize our incredible volunteers at Sequoia Adult School. At our school, volunteers play a vital role in student success, providing our students with individualized instruction and the support they need. These 5 volunteers we would like to recognize have gone above and beyond the duty of a volunteer to tutor across programs and subjects and work with multiple groups and students, dedicating countless hours per week, all with the goal of helping students reach their educational and career goals. The first volunteer we would like to recognize is Jim Cornett. Jim is our star science tutor. He's only been with us for less than 4 months, yet he's helped numerous students pass the HiSET science exam. He's brought new life and energy to our science program, and students are lining up to work with him. Next, we would like to recognize Nancy Hollister. Nancy is our high school equivalency math tutor. She displays incredible patience and flexibility, meeting the students where they're at. She is always student-centered and is extremely successful at graduating students. We would also like to recognize Pam Von Weigand. Pam has been a high school equivalency tutor for the past 3 years, tutoring across all subjects. She has proven her dedication to our students, working as much as 35 hours a week or more with them. Pam never gives up on her students and does whatever it takes to support them in achieving their goals. Next, we would like to recognize Michael Echeverria. Mike volunteers 3 nights a week in our ESL Level 3 classes with 2 different teachers. On top of that, he works one-on-one with a high school diploma student teaching him science. He is such a valuable addition to our school as he is able to teach in both English and Spanish, and students have a profound amount of respect for him. And lastly, we would like to recognize Miss Christine Zavoli. Chris brings her enthusiasm and positive energy every week, leading the ESL conversation group. It continues to thrive and grow every semester. Chris is always willing to help out wherever is needed. She also does one-on-one tutoring in the high school equivalency program. Thank you to all of our amazing volunteers.
Thank you, Jessica. So finally, I'd like to recognize our staff and teachers for all the work they've done this past year. They've worked with students outside of the classroom, from encouraging students during these difficult times to volunteering during our school's evening grocery distributions. In particular, I'd like to thank our office staff for all of their tremendous work during this past year. Our staff continued to serve our students effectively when our school was closed and seamlessly streamlined new processes to register, orient, and transition students remotely. And of course, I am so proud of all the work of our teachers and all the work they've done to support our students this past year. All of our teachers have done amazing work transitioning our students to synchronous online learning. They've learned a tremendous amount of instructional technology in a short amount of time to engage students remotely. They've collaborated and supported each other more than ever during this difficult time. Teachers, thank you for all you do. So thank you, trustees, for your time and for the opportunity to recognize Sequoia Adult School Centennial, as well as the opportunity to recognize our staff, teachers, and volunteers. Thank you again.
Well, thank you for that presentation. And there are two pretty substantial components to it. And I'm kind of going to go backwards. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be presented with employees, volunteers, staff members who have been such substantial contributors to the success of our community and really bringing this vital component of the district's operation to life. I recall when joining the board 11 years ago in the midst of the Great Recession that we were talking about all of the cutting that was being done to budgets and how critical it was to preserve as much as we possibly could in the adult school, and discussion about what was the district's core mission and what was the distinction between educating high school age students and providing adult school services. And it was a clear understanding that emerged from those discussions that this was a meaningful core part of who we are and what we do in the district, and that this school really means so much beyond the 10,000 high school age students who we serve on our other campuses. And it's tremendous to be reminded of who is out there doing that work and making that happen for us. The other part to recognize, of course, is 100 years of history. For me, this has been an extraordinary week. This is actually my second 100-year celebration this week. Last weekend, I had the privilege of attending a 100th birthday party of a cousin of mine, and the range of people throughout the family whose lives she had impacted and the depth with which their lives were charged with her presence was astounding, and we recognized that during the afternoon's gathering. The depth of the impact of our adult school over the past 100 years on this community is absolutely incalculable. What we've seen tonight is a small glimpse of the ways in which that impact is present and ongoing today, thanks to the continuing great work of everybody who's been involved and everybody who is honored tonight and the people who preceded them in those roles. This is a core part of the fabric of the Mid-Peninsula and the success that our education system is able to bring to our communities. This is vital work that is being done brilliantly. And all we can do is applaud and continue to support and ask for your good grace in continuing to do this work for us all. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Sarver.
Shanice, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, just want to thank you for that wonderful presentation. Before coming on the board, I really worked with families who accessed your resources as a way to gain their GED or their high school equivalent. So I'm just very impressed to see from this end the work that you're doing and the amount of students that you're serving. So thank you for sharing your story with all of us. It's just nice to see that there's other parts of our school. We think about our comprehensive schools, our small schools, but it's really nice to highlight our adult school. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson.
It's a bit to get used to. You're muting yourself to keep the echoes down when other people are talking, and then you have to remember to put yourself back in it. Okay, not seeing other hands who've gone up. We can move on. I would like to thank everybody for being here. If you're not extremely interested in the other exciting things we have on our agenda this evening, please feel free to move on with the rest of your evening. But we now do excitingly come to our student trustee comments. And this is an extraordinary event for us. This is the first time our student trustee has joined us here in the boardroom. So with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Norrie.
Thank you, President Sarver. It's definitely exciting to be in person for the first time. So as we wrap up the school year, I'm sure things are ending on as high a note as possible. Menlo Atherton actually had our senior prom last Friday, which went very successfully and was very fun. We're also working hard on choosing our next student trustee for the 2021 to 2022 school year. I think it's great to see that there were a ton of applications from across the school district. So we look forward to hopefully coming up with one or two of the best candidates. And also next Tuesday, we're organizing a student meet and greet with the new superintendent, Dr. Williams. So I'm looking forward to that, to getting a chance to introduce her to the students of our district and let her answer any questions they might have for her.
Excellent, thank you. The new student trustee who's selected is going to have some big shoes to fill. Although I have to admit, we have always felt that at the end of the year. We have consistently had tremendous student trustees in that role. And we do look forward to meeting next year's student trustees. All right, we move on to the comments from the Sequoia District Teachers Association and Ask Me. And if I'm getting my rotation right, and if not, we'll just go with it. But if I'm getting my rotation right, I believe we are going to ask me, Ms. Horton, to speak first this time.
Good evening. I'm keeping track now, and you are correct. Good evening, everyone, board and participants. Let's see. I will begin with saying that last night we hosted a webinar and had Dr. Darnice Williams do a meet and greet with all the classified OT&P and M&O unit bargaining members. And I can definitely say that we gave her some pretty loaded questions, and I was super impressed that, I don't want to say she didn't listen to the question. I think she just really drew herself in to understand where the question was coming from. And I thought, whoa, what a remarkable skill. So I am just so excited. And all of the classified staff is super excited to have her on board. And we want to thank our Board of Trustees for making such a wise decision and extending a contract and bringing her on board. So thank you for that. So before we, another remarkable thing was before she wanted to meet with all of the OT and P and M&O, she wanted to have a check-in with our leadership. Again, she wanted us to just come real with her, tell me what your concerns are. I want to hear it real from you guys. And we did. We were nice. Come on, scare away. But we were truthful, and she's asking for genuine feedback, and that's what we gave her. And so again, we requested that it not be the last time that she does that. We know her schedule is going to be very busy. She did share that she was going to be in the area next week, so I'm really hoping to bump into her in person. So that was a really exciting news, the most exciting news that I have. An update on progress for the benefit survey, really making a lot of progress, going on to the next more crucial steps. We were tasked with surveying our membership. That was pushed out, and we are scheduled to meet again as the Joint Benefits Committee on Monday. So we're hoping to have all the survey responses from our members and be able to give feedback on that. So as we all know, we have entered the yellow tier, and along with that, a lot of exciting things. One of that being prom, which student trustee shared, and in-person graduation. So today at our site, we had cap and gown distribution, and it was really fun to see all the students excited, wanting to walk the stage, wanting to do that, have that in-person celebration. So we're happy for that. Another mention is our school is one of the schools that hosts some of our partners, and they have been busy reaching out to us, wanting to use our facilities, and one of those is the adult school, so they'll be having a drive-through graduation, and we're happy to have them on our campus. Just with the ongoing, I just have a heavy heart with the ongoing. Give me 1 second. With the decision on the George Floyd case. So I think the most positive thing is accountability. So I'm happy to be on this side of history where accountability is going to be remarkable. We're all here. I believe that we're all here to make positive change, whether it be small or big. And then I just want to close with just
Grace, you're breaking up a great deal.
that if I turn off my video, maybe that would improve.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Is that improving?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to end with sharing that I do have disappointment with some site decisions where we have conversations, we have agreements, we come to sign negotiations and ratify it. So contract language is pretty clear. And we have some sites that have language and they don't want to adhere to that. So that I'm not understanding like where that's coming from. It's a reluctance to move forward. And so obviously there's time limits. And so we will find ourselves filing a grievance. And again, I'm just really disappointed because it really doesn't give any justice to all of the work that we do with HR, with the negotiating teams. And moving forward, I just really want to see that support, see that partnership for AFSCME and its members. And that is where I will hand it back to you, President Sarver.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Ms. Salvatore to speak for SDTA.
Hi, similar to AFSCME's report, we were very pleased earlier this week to host a meet and greet, virtual meet and greet with Dr. Williams for our members. And she gave an introduction of herself, her plans for coming into the district, her enthusiasm, her plan to come in and learn about our district and listen, and we're excited about that. And then our members had an opportunity to ask some questions, and in addition to plumbing some of the depths of her pedagogical and managerial bins, we found out that she likes spicy food, that she prefers tamales to pozole, and we learned what song has gotten her through the pandemic thus far. So, you know, some of those things we can use to grease the wheels as things might get bumpy later on. Not bad to know. We have also, along with AFSCME, been working in the benefits committee, though I have to admit we're not as far along with the survey as they are. So I still need to check in and find out what we're doing on that. And we have been in negotiations with the district on specifics of fall for our members and what those working conditions will look like. And we will be meeting again next Thursday. I'm looking forward to having something that we can tell our members before they leave for summer or shift into summer school mode. So that is where we are at. We also had our site rep elections and are excited that we've added 2 new reps at our sites, a brand new rep at Carlmont, Ricardo Garcia, and a brand new rep at Woodside, Yenny Jimenez. And Yenny is unique. Well, I shouldn't say she is almost unique among our reps. She is unique among our reps because she is a Woodside High School graduate, was a Woodside High School classified employee for 6 years and is now completing her second year as a Woodside High School teacher and is a rep. We have one other alumnus on our executive board. Our treasurer, Matt Miskelly, is a Sequoia graduate and a Carlmont teacher, but he didn't stick with the same school and he was never a classified employee. So that makes Yenny unique in that regard. So we're really excited to welcome them into leadership positions. And in addition to that, Yenny has been she has been accepted into CTA's Ethnic Minority Emerging, I've forgotten the last, it's the EMEID program, and it's the Emerging Leaders Early Identification Program is what it is. And through that, she will be getting training in leadership, in representation, and in the structure and hierarchy and ins and outs of how CTA works. And that's a program that we encourage folks to apply to because it helps them, if they choose to want to ascend in leadership in CTA, that it helps them to do that, but it also gives them the skills for leadership in any regard. And so we're really excited. It was a pretty big field and very few people were accepted this year. So we're really excited that Yenny was accepted to that program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, this moves us along to the public comment section. And I will first give the summary of correspondence, and then we'll move on to the public comment portion. And let me go ahead and share the screen. All right. Make that a little bit larger. All right. So this week, our sheer amount of correspondence has gone down from what we've had before. And this is the list of 8 correspondents who sent things in since our last board meeting. And the majority of it this time is not on any agendized item. So the comments included a request to add an agenda item for a resolution to send home letters to all parents regarding safe storage of guns. A statement that Sequoia District should not have opted out of CCS playoffs. Request to change the rules for selection of valedictorians to reflect the impact of the pandemic and the pass not pass policy during the spring semester of last year. On the assumption that the start of the 2021-2022 school year would be delayed, some families have signed up and paid for summer activities that will extend beyond the actual start of school. Please change the school calendar accordingly. Another, that the writer would like to have a robust debate with the district about the ethnic studies curriculum. Another, that the district should support the staff in preparation of the ethnic studies curriculum in service to the entire community. This is the appropriate follow through on the commitment the district has already made to this critical area of education. And finally, writer that can provide a list of community members who should be included to provide input in future principal hiring efforts by the district. Okay. For the public comment, this period is for speakers wishing to address the board on matters not on the agenda. Persons wishing to provide comments on the non-agendized items should raise their electronic hand in the Zoom platform. I see 3 so far. When it's the speaker's turn to comment, the board president will call on that person and staff will unmute the speaker. You're requested to state your full name and affiliation with the district, if any, at the beginning of the comments when they're invited to speak. A board policy ordinarily limits the time to be devoted to public comment to 10 minutes, and individual speakers are ordinarily limited to 3 minutes. We're now up to 5, which would extend beyond the 15 minutes if we maintain the 3 minutes per speaker. So the board may reduce the time allocated to individual speakers to 2 minutes or to 1 minute as appropriate in order to permit more speakers to comment. We'll announce the amount of time to be allocated to each speaker before public comment begins. It'll be displayed on the Zoom screen. When speaker's time has expired, staff will mute the speaker and staff will not notify speakers that their time has expired, so speakers should monitor their own time carefully. And please be advised the board members cannot respond to comments regarding matters not listed on the agenda. Okay, I currently see 6 hands up if we were to go with a 90-second speaker time limit, which we've done in the past, that would fit everybody into the 10 minutes. I'm seeing nods from board members to go ahead and do that. And I'm seeing 1 nod or 1 not.
Can I make a comment? We typically reduce the time to speak when we have too many speakers. Our normal time is 3 minutes. So I'm just surprised I think if people want to speak, want to talk to us, that we should allow the 3 minutes. Why are we reducing it?
Well, this is how the board has been managing the time.
That's because we've had so many speakers, right? We have a manageable amount of speakers with only 6. I don't like limiting what the public wants to say.
Are there other board members who would rather see us expand, stay with the 3 minutes?
I would prefer 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes is a long time to share information, but I get what Carrie's saying. I think 90 seconds is a little short, but I think 2 minutes would be suffice.
I'm fine with 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, if we can go with 2 minutes and
I've written the names down if you want them.
All right. Okay, and we have the timekeeper is up.
Do you want me to name them?
Okay. Cecilia.
Oh, Cecilia.
Will,
okay.
Thank you. We'll read the names. Thanks.
Abigail Gorman.
Hi. To quote education theorist Gloria Ladson-Billings, when we look at which kids are not doing well, we almost never have a conversation about the lack of justice that makes that possible. One group that would help us have one of many conversations about the lack of justice in the US and school systems in general, because it's not an issue in SUHSD alone, is the Equity and Diversity Task Force. I know they brought up to the district the need for professional development for external facilitators of color around important topics such as culturally responsive pedagogy, anti-racism, and analyzing curriculum for bias. And while our school district has offered quite a bit of professional development this year, we haven't had anything offered district-wide since last August. It's wonderful that our district provides optional paid PD in June, but will the PD we receive the week of June 7th include input from these task forces who don't present to the board until June 9th or 23rd? How? This feels like a missed opportunity. In regards to mental health, I'm excited we were given a mental health survey this year. I'm glad we're giving the mental health survey to students, but I'm nervous again about how the district communicated to students. None of my students know about it, nor do most teachers at my school. I found out the Student Panorama mental health survey closes on Friday, and we have low response rates. This feels like a repeat of how we communicated the move to hybrid and in-person instruction. What can the board and districts do to get accurate data from students from all zip codes? Don't we need to hear the most from students who are struggling with their mental health, who probably aren't great at checking their school email or Canvas class announcements? I'm concerned at board meetings we're not hearing the issues and concerns of all of our students and staff and community members. I believe we're hearing from the most well-resourced and privileged, and we aren't going out of our way to think critically about how we can change that.
Sorry, the next person, Lisa Bellamy. And then next after that would be Ms. Coleman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Katinka Lenneman. Apologies if this is the wrong place to bring this up, but Sarah Typrin, Catherine Wynn, and I are slated to present item 12, but we never received a presenter's link. Would it be possible to promote my group and I to panelists so we may present?
Hi, Katinka. This is Crystal. Yes, I will promote you at that time. Why I have you, it's who? Can you give me the other name?
Sarah Typrin.
Uh-huh.
And Catherine Wynn.
Okay. I will
Thank
move
you
after. Thank you.
So Ms. Coleman and then Sydney Dominguez.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Good evening, board members. And I'm going to try and do this really quickly. I have so many thoughts. It was such a pleasure to meet our future superintendent, Williams. She was amazing as far as the vision that I think we all have is bringing students, parents. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to identify myself. Caroline Coleman. I work at Sequoia High School. I'm sorry. I'm a teacher. I also am a parent. I have 2 kids that attend Sequoia High School. And so I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and I'm at Sequoia High School. I had a conversation with a couple of parents in my neighborhood, and they were sharing with me how they feel like they've failed as a parent because they were having so many conflicts with their children, which I've experienced as well. And so I just wanted to just put this out there in the light of the beautiful hug that Superintendent Williams gave us at the end of the meeting. Is and the social media that is saying that teachers just want an easy thing. I think we all want the same thing. And I think every teacher, every student, and every parent should get some kind of recognition for getting through the pandemic, getting through mental health issues, getting through social injustices, and overall just coming together. Mr. Fu was talking about great things at his school, and that just emulates, I think, every single teacher, individual at every school that everyone's been doing. So thank you for your time, and thank you.
Cindy Dominguez.
Oh, thank you. You can hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, trustees. I am Cindy Dominguez, the Assistant Director at Sequoia Adult School. I wanted to thank you for your recognition of our school tonight, and I am grateful to be a part of this momentous occasion. I also want to celebrate the work of the adult school staff, students, accomplishments, and the contributions of our volunteers. I started out at this school as the guidance and intervention counselor in a split role with the adult school and Redwood High School. This role was unique and necessary. The two schools offer educational access to the district's most promising students. In this role, it was my first exposure to the inner workings of an adult school. However, adult schools are not new to me. Both of my parents earned a high school equivalency certificate from an adult school, and that greatly impacted the educational and economic growth for my family. I believe that adult schools are essential. I urge you to consider the adult school students as part of the larger district student body. Sequoia Adult School's largest student group is actually between the ages of 18 and 24. And as students, they also need all of the wraparound services and resources that typical high school students need. The 100-year anniversary means that the work towards providing educational access continues, and we are excited to launch initiatives to further improve literacy skills, increase access to technology, and promote lifelong learning by strengthening partnerships with local colleges. We invite you to connect with us regularly. Please keep us in mind in your decision-making, and when you come across a resource or opportunity that would benefit the adult school students, please send it our way. Thank you.
Katinka Lemon?
She already went.
Okay. And then Lisa Levy? I'm sorry for that mispronunciation.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. It's Dunleavy, but you did a great job. Thank you. I am an MA parent of a senior, and I speak on behalf of all the parents who have athletes playing indoor sports. We have not been allowed to attend as spectators at away games. And now that we're in the yellow tier, actually, and what I want to back up, I want to say we were not given an actual reason as to why that would be, because even in the orange tier, we could have been able to attend away games. Now that we're in the yellow tier, I have sent notes to as many people as I can think of to find out if now we can be to be accommodated as spectators at away games, because in the yellow tier, 50% capacity is allowed indoors. And we have yet to hear anything from anyone that we've tried to contact. And I would love to hear from the district and understand if we will be supporting the guidance from the CDC, the state, and the county. And if not, why? But can we do this as quickly as possible? Because we have students participating in indoor athletics and parents who want to support their athletes, and especially us senior parents who are seeing our kids play their sports for the last time in the next couple weeks. Thank you.
And those were all the names.
I think there was one more,
Yeah.
Lisa Bellamy, but there's two hands up for the same person.
So Lisa is the person that is going to be moved up to panelist later on?
No, that was Katinka.
No, I'm here and I'm very eager to speak to you.
Okay, we hear you.
Excellent. I'm so happy that I get to speak to you all this evening. I am the mother of 3 high school students in the district. I have the pleasure of being the mother to one person whose extracurricular activities have pretty much been kiboshed. I have 2 student athletes whose activities have pretty much been kiboshed. I have 3 highly intelligent students who are not performing at the level that they should be, who, I'll be quite honest, I don't even care about their academic outcomes at this moment. My greatest concern is, are they living? Did they kill themselves? What has happened in this district over the last year is an absolute travesty. The district, the students, the community has been held hostage by the teachers union. And I'm telling you, we've had it. You've not heard my name before, but you need to write it down and you need to hear it. You need to memorize it, tattoo it. Because I speak for thousands of parents. We are fed up. We need our schools opened. We need our schools open. We need the masks off. We need common sense applied, and we need children to learn. California is the least educated state. Is it any wonder? You opened the meeting patting people on the back for adult school, and you threw out 60,000 uneducated people in this community don't even have a high school education. What is it going to be like in 2 years? We need these schools open now. We need educators. We need educators, not teachers. We don't need card-carrying teachers. We need educators, and we need to end our contract with the teachers union and get these schools open.
Okay, if we can turn off the timer, we'll return to the agenda. And that brings us to our information items. And we'll begin with item 12.1, the presentation of the Climate Energy Sustainability Board Model. And we look forward to having our 3 student presenters promoted so they can do that.
I am working on that right
Yeah,
now.
thank you.
We should get Katinka and then Miss Sarah on your way over. And finally, Miss Catherine. Catherine, I do not see you. Could you potentially be under a different name? And if so, can you raise your hand for me?
She's been added.
Oh, she's been added. Perfect. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. My video is off. Katinka, are you leading this presentation?
Yeah, I'll start us off. Let me
Fabulous.
share screen. Alrighty. Good evening to the Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for letting us speak today. My name is Katinka Lenneman, and I am a junior at Cromer High School. A group of students and I presented a climate emergency declaration a few months ago, and in wake of recent events, I, Sarah Typrin, and Kat Wynn would like to present some updated information, particularly that on a sustainability leadership model in our district. So I'd also like to take a moment to thank the board for moving forward to unanimously pass a climate emergency resolution in our district. And we are so proud to know that our district is moving forward with climate action and recognizing it for the priority that it is. Thus, our proposals today will be aligned with goals set out in the resolution. In particular, our proposals will be able to align with this resolution's ideas of evaluating district operations to see where they stand regarding sustainability, researching and implementing clean energy, promoting environmental literacy in our school curriculums, connecting our stakeholders, and providing leadership opportunities for students. What's more, by acting upon these proposals today, we will be able to continue to carry on the momentum we have in addressing sustainability in schools.
The first component of our proposal is for the district to conduct a baseline assessment, which should be focused around identifying the current progress on sustainability and climate resiliency efforts across campuses. And this baseline assessment process will evaluate district operations and facilities at each school site, which will help provide enough information to develop a strategic plan that outlines priorities to ensure that stakeholders are working toward common goals. And this has already been successfully carried out by the San Mateo Union High School District, and they've included more information about this baseline assessment in the document linked on the slide. And it contains an overview of the district's process with steps and sample timelines that show a 6 to 8 week baseline assessment schedule that we encourage you all to use for reference. And as many of us know, implementing successful district-wide sustainability efforts will require participation from all parties, including individuals, departments, schools, and the greater community. So to ensure that the Sequoia Union High School District will be able to create transformative change, the second component of our proposal is the sustainability leadership model. So this graphic displays communication and decision-making pathways between groups of dedicated school stakeholders, which include grassroots change makers and district decision makers. And the previously mentioned baseline assessment would help solidify the key leaders within the community to be involved in this leadership model. And the San Mateo Union High School District is already in the process of establishing their own Green Committee using this framework. So we hope our district can also pass similar measures to make more progress with school sustainability.
To make the most out of the time we have between now and next year when the board reviews their progress, I encourage you to start thinking about how you could best spend these next few months. For instance, we could start recruiting members to fill positions in the sustainability model. And again, measures like these would prepare for starting these projects in the fall. And thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope you take these projects into consideration, and we look forward to your future climate action projects.
Excellent. Thank you for that presentation and for all of the work that you have done so far. And I know that our superintendent has been having a look not only at the materials that you've been presenting, but at some of the work already going on in the San Mateo Union High School District next door. And I think, the board has already strongly signaled with our resolution our interest in environmental work being continuing to be a growing core part of the activity that goes on in the district. And I think a lot of next steps in implementation is much more a matter of how it is operationalized by staff at this point. And in particular, I know that our interim superintendent has a second job in the district, which she continues to do. And this is the busiest possible time of the year for both of the jobs that you are doing. And all of this work would fall under your wing of what has been your primary job. Given the challenges in making really substantial progress on a major new project, I'd invite kind of a few words of kind of your long-term thinking at this point about progress that we can look forward to, and your sense of how this fits with district direction and what we can do.
Yes, well, I think that this type of committee would be a great addition for our district. And I would love to take this committee with me when I return back to my associate position, which has operations and construction in our facilities under my umbrella of departments. So this is definitely something that we can move forward with as far as timing goes. As I transition back into my original associate position, I will need a few months to kind of just gain my bearings again, but I would love the opportunity to keep in contact with the three of you. And then in the fall, we could set up a meeting and we could look at, again, what we're doing, because I actually have some things going on as far as assessing where we are energy wise and potential for energy reduction currently going on. And by then I would have those reports back that I would love your feedback on. And then we can start talking about bigger, more long-term projects. I get a thumbs up for that?
Yeah, that sounds really good. It's good to hear that that our board is committed and that we are going to think long-term about sustainability.
Fabulous.
So as we know, we not only have busy times upon us now, but busy times ahead. We do look forward to this being an increasing component of the busy times ahead. Thank you very much, not only for this presentation and for the framework of the resolution that we've already passed, but for your dedicated hard work in bringing these things to the board and for being actively involved in the well-being and sustainability of our planet. It is the critical leadership of our current students who are going to take us forward and help us get through these times. Our next information item has been moved up from discussion, and it is our COVID-19 update.
I think some board members wanted to.
I am sorry. Excuse me. There's so much to look at on this little screen all the time, and we have other board members. The first hand I see up is Trustee Dubois.
Thank you. You know, as the students were presenting, I was thinking about how often when we do committees in our district, we don't really have students participating because it's so difficult. We often have our committees and the real working groups of the district, they usually occur when the kids are in class. And in some of the committees I participated in, students sort of come in and out. Would this be an opportunity to really have ongoing involvement of students? And when I think about the climate and environmental work that needs to be done, I think there's still even some really basic work of like litter at schools. And I mean, unless that's been solved, but I haven't been really at a school very much lately with all of the kids on campus. But the last time I was at one of our comprehensive high schools, there was a lot of litter and I saw some kids just tossing litter on the ground. I mean, that type of education, which is really basic. So it's sort of the opposite of what Alan was saying, rather than just turning it over to staff. I'm wondering if this is an opportunity to really involve students on an ongoing basis. And I don't know if the students want that, but that is what occurred to me. And I do want to ask the students about this idea of I mean, you're talking a lot about the higher level environmental issues, but there's those lower level issues that could have a big impact on campuses. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, like litter and just sort of general education through clubs and assemblies, that sort of thing?
I can briefly speak to that. I think the sustainability model could definitely be an opportunity to involve students. And what you're saying about those smaller level issues like litter and stuff, I think that could also be incorporated into the kinds of things they work on. It's kind of up in the air. I'm not exactly sure what it would look like, but I think that is a good point.
Yeah, I'd like to second what Sarah said. I think that there is definitely a lot of work to be done regarding environmental literacy in schools, but as a committee could definitely work toward promoting those type of clubs. And I think on the same side though, there are a lot of students that I know in high school who have a very deep understanding of climate change and are working actively to solve that. So I think there is definitely room for student leaders in order to get involved on that end.
Trustee Dubois, I absolutely see students participating throughout this committee and really see this as a student-led committee and an opportunity to share with our students and involve them in the planning process around modernization of our facilities that also includes sustainability and energy management.
Trustee Thompson.
So I'm an optimist about student engagement. It seems like this is a good thing. We can't stop them in the way that they've come to us, and they should come to us. And so that's a great sign. And I expect you and others will continue to be engaged on this issue. I wanted to mention two things. One, really praise to the students for moving the conversation with us from resolution to action, proposed action. I think frustration for trustees and myself at times is we'll pass resolutions because we want to show support for things, but it doesn't always turn into action. And so I'm glad you helped us take that next step by proposing what we need to do. The other thing I want to do is take advantage of your time with us to signal the enthusiasm, my enthusiasm as a board member, and I think my colleagues' enthusiasm for this initiative to the superintendent, because a lot does fall on her shoulders. And I think we'll see that carried forward next year with the new superintendent as well. So thank you for what you're doing. I know it's really important and I appreciate the way you're doing it so effectively with us.
And Trustee Stevenson.
First of all, congratulations as young people being able to bring something to a board and actually be heard and acted upon. That was very brave of you and shows your commitment and your commitment to environmental social justice, because that's really what this is. It's about saving our planet and making sure that we have a healthy place to live. I do have questions, and I'm not for sure, Crystal, if it's for you or the young people or our students, but you know, I see on the leadership structure that there's student reps and student clubs, which I totally love, but I'm trying to understand because I'm still new to the district. Does every school have a climate club or something like that? Or is there a climate academy? Like, how does this fall into some of our academic and current structures that we have?
That's probably a great question for our students, as I think they represent a couple different of our school sites about the local clubs that are around environmental issues at the school sites.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure almost every school in our district has some kind of environmental club. Katinka and I go to Carlmont and we have, I believe, 3. I'm personally co-president of the Green Team. We also have a climate change club and eco fashion, DIY, Earth Cycle.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe Sarah could talk about what it's like at Woodside.
Yeah, so we also have a Green Club and we also have the Green Academy. I'm sure many of you know.
There it is. It's the Green Academy. Okay.
Yeah.
So are these clubs associated with each other? And then there's a student rep sent, or are these just like student-led clubs and created, but they're not all necessarily connected across the district?
I think regarding like in terms of student clubs, in terms of like the larger picture of the sustainability committee, I think it's possible that we could create a smaller network of student clubs that would work on individual schools and environmental literacy and smaller projects and help manage that type of stuff. But
Okay.
it's definitely could be up to how this committee is to be formed up.
Okay. Okay. Those are just a few questions around technical pieces of how this was good to hear about how other clubs could get involved, current clubs, and then really thinking about that that process. So thank you so much. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunities here already. It's just about managing and putting it all together kind of formally. Okay. Thank you.
I think in general, we've heard there's, we got one more.
I'd just like to quickly add something. I think this is, and kind of give a shout out to at least at MA, the AP Environmental Science. I think those, I don't know if the class is offered at other schools in the district, I assume it is, but I know that's one of a really good class in educating people about the environment. Like one of my friends took it and he told me that before this past election when he was voting, because of that class, it made him change his opinion on a lot of issues. So I think classes like that, which are really great in educating people about the environment, because it is an issue that a lot of students, you know, might not know about just off the top of their heads, are very important and could be used to help like coordinate across the districts or engaged in projects to educate other students about issues regarding the environment.
I'm glad you said that. You know, Crystal, this might be something for you to think about as you lead this, is that there are a number of youth who are already doing climate work, not in the school, but like out in the community around sea level rises and all these kinds of steps. And so there are already other students, but they may not be involved in the clubs at the school, but they may be doing some specific work in their community. And I can only talk for East Palo Alto and Belhaven, a little bit of Redwood City, but there are certain groups like Yucca and New Extra Casa and one East Palo Alto. And I think there's a couple of clubs here in Redwood City as well, just to make sure our students are represented from different aspects, whether outside the school district or inside their community.
Okay, I think in general, we've got a lot of excitement, board enthusiasm, and interest across the district in advancing strongly with this. So thank you once again for your tenacity, as well as being focused on a very important issue and making things happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our COVID-19 update.
Yes, thank you. So just a quick revisit to a couple of things and an opportunity to share briefly some other recent news. So we are again still on track and planning full ahead for 100% full return, 5 days a week for the fall, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no asynchronous Wednesdays. What has changed since the last meeting that I gave an update on is the approval for vaccinations for our 12 to 17-year-olds, which definitely covers our students, and it is super exciting. And so I did get notification about an hour before this meeting about a huge vaccine event at SFO this weekend, specifically for 12 to 17-year-olds. Actually, it's one of them is tomorrow, and then the other is on the 18th. We don't really get a lot of notice when it comes to vaccine opportunities, and we definitely are trying to get ahead of that and to change that. As well as the district is looking at partnerships with Safeway to actually bring vaccination clinics to our sites. to be able to vaccinate our students and hopefully some of their parents, and make it as convenient as possible. So those are things that are in work, and we would be able to continue even through the summer. So with San Mateo moving into the yellow tier, it does change quarantine rules. And so I do have my standing superintendent's meeting tomorrow with the County Office of Ed, where I'm sure I will also receive additional updates, and then we'll be able to communicate accordingly with our community. So those are my highlights for the COVID update for this week.
Sorry, I'm muted. Sorry. May I ask you a question around immunizations? Do you know if they're going to be doing any home visits for families who don't have transportation, or they're with an elder, such as like some of our kiddos who are raised by kinship but don't drive, older adults? Do you know if they're going to do anything innovative around that?
Those are all fabulous suggestions. I have not heard of any type of home visits. I can definitely ask in my next meetings. You know, we have the opportunity, and we have a lot of buses that we can get our students and potentially their parents where they need to go. It is a little tricky because there does have to be a parent with the student, so we have to be able to coordinate that. But we are available for partnerships and are really looking to bring vaccination opportunities within our home of Sequoia District.
And then last question, are we trying to do any more education around immunizations in young people? Just because I know some of our communities, they're actually not seeing an increase in immunization. I think it's been on the news that it has slowed down as far as the demand. And some of that in some communities is still understanding the impacts on their child and the pluses and the minuses of the immunization. Are we going to be doing any of that? I know we did that for the adults, but are we going to do some more of that in different languages, or?
We do have the opportunity to partner. Obviously, the district has very successful and significant partnerships with Stanford. And so I could potentially see a partnership and an educational series around vaccines for our youth. So we can definitely explore that.
Thank you.
Okay. I know we're going to have a few more comments and questions from the board. I'd like to go to public comment on this. I see one hand up, and we also have one piece of correspondence, and then we'll come back and follow all of that up with other board input. As far as correspondence is going, only one email came in on this area. So rather than go to screen sharing, let me just read that one off. It is in the file that's attached to the public comment. There is substantial and justified vaccine hesitancy in the East Palo Alto, Bellhaven, and North Fair Oaks communities, and this should be considered as part of planning for fall operations. Okay, at this point, I see two attendees whose hands are up to speak on this. And I invite anybody else who would like to speak on the topic of the COVID update to please put your hand up, and then I'll ask Ms. Marquez to send them through. At this point, the two we have can have the full time to speak. So we'll hear from Abigail Corman and Lisa Bellamy.
Hello again. I be sharing tonight 3 concerns I have about COVID planning. for instruction in the fall. The first two concerns are in regards to safety. I heard at a recent board meeting a principal's concern over contact tracing at our comprehensive high schools. Can you explain the current plan for effective, efficient, and timely contact tracing, especially as we plan to resume 100% in person in the fall? Also related to safety, I have to say, I appreciate that you all are back in person, but I am a little confused by the messaging you are all sending by not wearing masks indoors. Isn't this a policy for all of us in the district, regardless of our vaccination status? We're certainly doing that at our schools. My last concern is the lack of student input in our reopening plans. Truly, since February, the only student we've heard from at the board meeting in regards to reopening is our student trustee, who we must acknowledge is only one voice. In February, for the LCAP survey, we know we had 4,254 students respond, which by my rough estimation is a little less than half of our students. And when we asked them to choose from a multiple choice list of which supports they needed, the largest response, 38.7%, said none of the above were supports they needed. Instead of assuming this means no student needs supports, I read it to mean our question did not offer them the right choices. A lot has also changed since February. I understand the plan is to return to the pre-COVID school day schedule, but that does not mean we need to return exactly to the same way teaching as if the pandemic and distance learning didn't happen. Don't all of our students deserve to be heard from, especially in regards to their mental health, racial trauma, and what they've learned works and doesn't work for them in school? Aren't our students best positioned to speak about their own needs? Is there any work from the district on gathering input from students around what is working during hybrid or distance learning, or around what students need as we return to in person before they go off to summer and forget? I'm concerned at board meetings we're not hearing the issues and concerns of all of our students and staff and community members. I believe we're hearing from the most well-resourced and privileged, and we aren't going out of our way to think critically about how we can change that. I appreciate Trustee Stevenson and Dubois naming that we need to hear data broken down by zip code and from more students, and I'm looking forward to more conversations, investigating areas of inequity, and hearing not just the data, but also a critical investigation of how we're gathering our data and what we do.
Lisa.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. I specifically am very concerned about the communications that the district is sending to parents and to students around the vaccines. First and foremost, it's critical that we all hear this message loud and clear. These are not FDA approved vaccines. They have emergency use authorization. And the fact sheet from the FDA that we can all view says clearly there is no FDA approved vaccine for COVID-19. When I spoke to my student, to the students in my home, to my own children about this, my kids were actually surprised to get that fact nugget. They said, "Mom, no, you're crazy. They're approved." No, they're not. And so we sat down and we read the fact sheet. It is disingenuous for these schools. And let's be honest, I received a communication just today from MA administration. It is disingenuous for the schools, for the district to send communications to students and to parents about vaccine opportunities. Just today, you sent to me a note about a youth night at Levi's Stadium. Nowhere in the message, nowhere do you inform people that this is not FDA approved. I'm all for vaccinating. My kids are fully vaccinated, but I'm for safe vaccines. I'm for tested vaccines. And it is outrageous that you send these communications and that you propagandize for big pharma. Your communications need to cease and desist. These are not fair. You need to disclaim, you need to disclose that these are not FDA approved vaccines and that informed consent is required. I strongly oppose any effort that I heard this evening from Crystal to offer any kind of on-site vaccination at the schools in the district. I will raise an army to push back on this. You just wait until the community hears this message. No parent wants their child taking an experimental medication.
Okay. So now we can return to board questions and comments. And Safik, you have your hand up.
So I have two things. First, I have a question for Ms. Leach. Kind of related to what the last comment actually, but do you foresee us mandating the COVID vaccine next year?
So vaccines cannot legally be mandated until they have full FDA approval. The mandate for that, I would imagine, would come from the state level down locally if the state of California chooses to do so.
And also kind of related to that, do you think, I mean, at least I know what most colleges are doing is like if you are vaccinated, you won't have to quarantine and stuff. So do you envision more of that happening next year?
I do think that for fall, as we have staff, I mean, I want to say the majority of our staff are fully vaccinated. And as our students also get vaccinated, it will change how we do contact tracing and what the requirement is for quarantining, yes. We will be following all public health guidelines related to contact tracing as well as quarantining.
Okay, I just have one more quick thing. So I'd like to acknowledge what Ms. Corman said specifically, that I think the board has been not hearing from enough student voices. And I know I like to participate a lot at these board meetings, and I do have an opinion on this, on reopening, that isn't pretty hard to hide. But I would like to say that I do think the district, or the board especially, would benefit from hearing more students. I remember bringing this up a couple meetings ago where I suggested that the board have a meeting dedicated to hearing from students. I try my best to listen to a wide variety of student perspectives on issues, but I am, after all, only one student. So I do actually would agree with Ms. Corman and think the board would benefit from hearing from more students. It's just that I think a lot of students do feel a little bit intimidated in like a formal space like this board meeting, or they might not know what exactly they want to say, or like even what the board does. Like I didn't know a lot about what the board did before the end of my junior year, but I do think it would benefit everyone if students were more involved in decision-making processes in the district.
Sorry, that time I hadn't muted myself, but I got muted for the benefit, and then I didn't notice it. So I do very much agree with Superintendent Leach that the huge change that has gone on is the FDA's approval for emergency use of the Pfizer vaccine down to age 12. Earlier today, I attended the county elected officials call where the main topic of conversation was what all agencies across the county could do to strongly encourage and support the aggressive vaccination of everybody down to age of 12 in the county. A lot of what was talked about was the efforts of the county and the County Office of Education to support the school districts in working with partners like Safeway to come and have vaccination events on our campuses, how urgent it is for all of our schools to be strongly spreading the word to all of our students and their families that the opportunity is now available. A reminder that the My Turn website statewide will put in place tomorrow, first thing, the ability to schedule appointments for everybody down to age 12, and that they need to come with a parent to the events. And it is very much the obligation of our school district to do everything we can to spread the word to our entire student body, all of our families, that this opportunity is now here. Also, I do agree, it's clear that school districts do not have the authority to require vaccination until such time as it is formally approved as a non-emergency vaccine. And that time is clearly coming. It is coming rapidly, and there is every hope and expectation that it should occur before the school year starts. And I hope that we will have support from the state level down to be able to move to that as a healthful requirement as soon as it's supported. So these are very exciting transitional times, and the availability of vaccine for all of our students as of tomorrow is quite simply the most important news we've had, and I'm tremendously excited by this. Carrie.
Sorry. I'm talking into the microphone. Sorry, delayed response and what I'm thinking about, which is a little bit different topic, Alan, than what you mentioned. You know, Crystal, I've been thinking a lot about how many of our kids have been traumatized by the pandemic, right, across our district. And when more kids are traumatized, when they come back to the school site, when everybody's back, you know, trauma sometimes manifests itself with behavior issues. It could be substance abuse issues. It's going to be different for some kids, right? And that sort of settling down the first week of school can be more difficult for some of our kids. And I'm just wondering if there have been discussions for more transition time, more check-in time. I mean, I just don't think it's going to be school as usual that first day or that first week. And so are we having those kinds of conversations? Because I think, you know, my wish has always been that everybody in the district be trained on trauma-informed practices, right? And in some of the meetings I've been attending recently, like Stanford, you know, all of the physicians who work with kids have had that trauma-informed training. And that's a theme in so many organizations. But I don't think it's something that we have done here. And that trauma-informed training is what helps settle kids down, right? It gives strategies to teachers, it gives strategies to staff. Because for some kids, there could be just more of a reaction or that inability to sit and listen unless something happens first. So I'm just wondering if we've had any conversations about that. And I think it's really important.
So the conversations that we've had thus far about returning for fall and both services for our students and as well as staff is what that looks like around supports, increasing our contracts with our mental health providers, and what was created prior to our return for April 5th was the mental health action team that kind of is a subcommittee of the SEL, the social emotional learning committee that we have across the district. So we are having conversations throughout leadership on what kind of supports the sites need as far as what we can be prepared for. That's about all I can share. I can follow up and we can, I believe we have a mental health SEL report coming to the board at the next board meeting. We may be able to touch on that conversation as well.
Shanice.
Sorry about that. Oh, my computer up. So when I was listening to Trustee Nori, I don't know how this fits into the COVID report that Crystal has been giving, but there's something about listening to students, almost like a listening tour of students of kind of what they need. I thought it was interesting. I've forgotten about that data because we've been so entrenched in so many things about what the students, when they replied to our COVID survey way back when, and what do they need and what's working. It might have been because I know the question said maybe we didn't ask the right question, but I also think there's something about experiencing trauma. Like if someone says, what do you need? And all you're like is, I don't know, it's none of the above, because of the experience you're having right now. So it may not be that it was a bad question. It just means that it was not a timely question. So I wonder, and I hate to ask us to do surveys and stuff like that, because I don't think that's the best way to get input. But if there could be a listening tour, maybe with the new superintendent coming in and Crystal transitioning out of her role, maybe doing some co-meetings, but really doing a listening tour of students, because I think we've heard a lot from adults. And that's okay too. But as I sit at home with my own teenager, it's very different having a listening tour with them and what their experiences are, and not trying to push them in what we think is. And maybe there's some new information that will come out of things that are working well, things that aren't, and some things that were really innovative during the time of COVID. And the best time to kind of reflect back is when you're out of it. So it might be something we may want to think about.
Okay, yes, certainly in past years, the board has held meetings at the various campuses during the course of the year as very much as a listening tour. And we've had strong student input and a lot of really meaningful feedback that has come from that. And I think that's something we're very much going to be eager to institute as we go back on campus in the fall. But I think, continuing to look for opportunities to garner more input is a really valuable direction. All right, I do see a hand up from Simone. If the board would like to hear some input, I'm seeing some vigorous nodding. Okay, please go ahead, Simone.
Thank you. And I apologize if you hear a dog barking. I just wanted to respond to Carrie's comment about the trauma-informed professional development. This year at MA, we did 6 hours of culturally responsive trauma-informed professional development. was really, really amazing PD. I think it was part of our MA Equity series. And as Crystal mentioned, the supports for mental health and how we really support that at the sites, and for social emotional learning as everybody returns, will be crucial. And we would love to capitalize on the momentum from the professional development offered this year as well. So I just wanted to respond to that, that was something that was one of the pluses of a Wednesday, provided time for really good in-depth professional development. So just wanted to mention that since Carrie had brought that up.
Thank you. Okay. And that brings us along to our action item for the evening. Resolution number 1686, intention to levy annual assessment, preliminary approving engineers report, and scheduling of public hearing for the SUHSD Maintenance Assessment District for 21-22.
Yes, thank you, President Sarver. So this is an annual resolution that kicks off a series of events that will occur between now and I believe our next June meeting. So this district is so fortunate to have an additional tax that we are able to use to maintain our facilities and also keep them open. So this is the first action item in a series of action items to be able to collect this tax. So I ask that the board approve this annual resolution.
Okay, and this is a matter of a roll call vote. So we would need a motion. I'd like to make a comment before. Okay. Yeah, Rich, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in support of the resolution. I just want to comment to my colleagues that this is a tax of the public to maintain our facilities, and I think we should be very conscious and aware of making as much as possible the facilities aware for the public to use. I know I've heard of tennis courts being locked. I've been to a track that was locked, and to the extent that we can post times when the public can use facilities. Of course, school sites have first choice, but I believe our schools are community assets and should be available to the extent possible for the community. So I just want to throw that out there. I support the resolution. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think, availability of our facilities to the public has been brought up intermittently during the past year. And I know that we're very much looking forward to resumption of more normal operations as we go forward, especially in the fall, that I hope will very much return public access to pretty normal, recognizable levels. And I think point well taken that that is part of our obligation to the public and part of what is tied up with this resolution and this assessment. Shanice?
I have a question. It's just in response to Rich and maybe the legacies here of trustees can help me understand. Do we advertise it? Do any communication around our facilities? I know I've had community members come to me about facility use, given this tax information that I didn't know as a new board member, but like, do we do like any PR around this, especially now that we're quote unquote transitioning out of COVID? Are we going to do a big PR thanking our community for the tax money that they've given us and our facilities are now open? Like, what are we going to, this is an opportunity to kind of reestablish that with the community and do like, our facilities are open and this is how you reserve space, or this is when the hours are, something like that.
I can answer. I think the reserving space goes through the principals or the site administration, because you're talking about, the building. So that's taken care of. I think what we mean is like even during the pandemic, kids needed to exercise. Kids needed to run around the track. Some of the adults needed maybe to play tennis. And I think this board, we want to share our facilities with our community members. If a parent wants to teach their kid how to ride a bike on our blacktop, I would want to make our facilities as open as possible because our taxpayers pay for our facilities. I think that's what we're talking about, correct? But as far as the renting and using, you know, like a Boy Scout troop using it or anybody else, that's all managed by the sites. And I don't think that's as much of an issue.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
I think that's part of it, but like, as I'm also thinking like this idea of this is our time to rebuild our trust with our community, saying, hey, we're all in this together. Like, is this a time to really put out there, like, this is how you reserve information, but hey, our facilities are open here if you want to ride around our track with your son and teach him how to ride the bike, or like some way of like pooling community and part of our healing process of making sure. There's so much information that's lost when you've gone through a traumatic experience such as the pandemic. And this is just reestablishing and recorrecting or reestablishing who we are and that we are very community minded. I don't know. It's just something to think about as PR. I'm not going to put my stake in the ground, but when I heard that, I just wonder if there's an invitation to be put out to the community saying thank you for your tax dollars, and we're open now.
I support that initiative in general. Yeah. I think, Rich, to some extent, in making that statement, it was a form of a reminder about that. I think we also want to clarify this is one of only 3 kinds of taxes put out to the community, and all of them, or that we draw from the community, all of them contribute to these facilities that are open to the public to some extent. So, I mean, I saw that as a nice reminder. If there's an opportunity in newsletter or something like that, one of the district communications, to say something about facilities, it's a good time to do it.
So that would be my only, if I could do a recommendation, that would be to support that, not just verbally at a board meeting, but really for community to know.
I think what's important is, I think, like, we've all said sort of our position. I think it's clear as a board, we want our facilities available to the public, and rather than prescribe any specific way, I think just that the administration knows that that's an interest of the board, and we can see and check back on that as we go. Without, I wasn't proposing like a specific thing as a next step, other than broadly making them available, making it known to the public how it's available, when it's available, and then I'm open to whatever makes sense as to how to communicate it.
Thought I turned myself on, I turned myself off. I'm at war with my mute button tonight, I don't know. All right, with that, I welcome a motion on this.
I move to approve this resolution.
Second.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Student trustee Nori,
Yes.
trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Stevenson,
Yes.
trustee Jin,
Yes.
vice president Dubois,
Yes.
president Sarver.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. All right, and that brings us along to Board of Trustees and Superintendent's comments, committee reports, and agenda setting. All right, Carrie gets her hand up first.
I might need it a minute. Am I off mute? No.
Yes.
I am off mute. Normally, Ellen Sarver and I are at the District 17 Founders Day event, and we couldn't be there tonight because we're here. And a very special person was honored tonight, and I'm so excited about this. Charlene Margot was honored for her work with her parent education program. And sometimes I say one of the things I'm most proud about in this district is our robust parent education program. And I got to write up the remarks for Charlene. And one of the things I said in my write-up, we talk so much about parent engagement, but I don't think we, and when I say we, I mean the state of California and the country. I don't mean we Sequoia, but I think so often we talk about parent education, parent involvement, but we don't always, we, the big broad world of education, know how to really involve parents in their children's educational journey. And one of the ways to strengthen family relationships and strengthen academic outcomes for kids is to have a robust parent education program. And I know that I have needed it. I have benefited myself from Charlene's program. So many of my friends and so many of my colleagues have benefited. So I just wanted you all to know that she was given this very prestigious award. It's countywide, and I wish we could have been there tonight. So congratulations, Charlene.
Thank you. Any other items? All right, I'll throw one in. Now that the results of the census have become available and redistricting is going on in various districts around the country, we do need to be sure that Sequoia keeps up with evaluation of the districts for our by trustee district elections. And I believe we have to turn in the results of any adjustments by March of next year. Hopefully the next steps of what's involved in that and getting demographers on board and looking to see if any changes are required will become part of our upcoming calendar. And I'll look forward to working on that.
A quick comment there, Alan. Do you know when the census results are available? Because I think it's driven by that. And I thought it was in the September-October range. I think we need official census results.
Okay. Because it's been reported that California has lost a congressional seat and things like that. So, I mean, the results are available at that level. I don't know if they are where we are in terms of them being available at our school district level and things like that. So we need to be aware that that is an obligation we've got coming up. And I know we are aware of that. And then the other thing I'd like to mention, I know Superintendent Leach, you're working on following up with our Alameda Corridor city partners to arrange a tour of that stretch of the road and see what's going on. And I look forward to being able to work with you as that progresses as well. And those are the two I had out there. Anybody else have anything further to contribute? I think we've got.
I would just also like to note that we are working on a resolution for the gun lockup. Say that right?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's something that we've had in our correspondence a handful of times. And yes, we are working on that. And we're looking forward to that coming up at a very near future board meeting. Shani, is your hand's gone up?
Crystal, I don't know if you can put in your next report or just to update. I've been sending you a lot of information around Reimagine Sam Trans and them wanting for people to fill out surveys, and they're really trying to figure out, I'm not for sure if it's routes or just their service, but just a little concerned that it might impact East Palo Alto, Fair Oaks, Redwood City. Those are typically the areas that they start narrowing down their routes. And so I want to make sure our kids, and not just our kids, our students, but our partners, as well as our adults, are able to access transportation. So if you could give an update on that, and I'm not for sure if the rest of the group knows about the survey that they're doing.
Appreciate that one as well. Thank you. All right, with that, Then that brings us to the end of our agenda, and I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we will see everybody again in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.